The idea of a new type in Sun and Moon isn't exactly the most welcome notion within the Pokemon community. Some people are certainly all for it, but others are a bit more ambivalent, arguing that a new type would only overcomplicate things and isn't necessary. My own personal stance on this is somewhere in between these two sides, but I will say that before Gen 6, a lot of people disapproved of the fairy type, and yet it ended up working out pretty damn well. So I guess my point is that I definitely understand the skepticism, but I still think it's best to keep an open mind. Anyways, that aside, as I'm sure you guys can tell from the title of this video, today I'm going to be counting down my top 5 new type ideas for Pokemon Sun and Pokemon Moon. So without further ado, let's get into the countdown. Number 5, Sound type. Now, I'll be honest and say I'm not too big on the Sound type, but I do think it's good enough to at least make this list. The biggest argument for a Sound type is that there are already a ton of Sound type moves like Hyper Voice, Sing, Relic Song, and much more. Moreover, there are already a ton of Pokemon that would fit in really well with the Sound type theme, including Exploud, Meloetta, and Chatot to name just a few. Overall, the Sound type would undoubtedly fit in really well with the current set of Pokemon, and for that reason it would certainly not be a bad choice for a new type. So then, what's holding it back from being higher on this list? Well, one big thing is that in my opinion, it's a bit boring and perhaps a little too obvious. Additionally, Sound doesn't really fit the theme of Sun and Moon all that well. I'm not too big on a Light type either, but I'll concede that it at least fits the theme of the games. Another thing is that if you look at the new types introduced in the past, you've got things like Dark, Steel, and Fairy, which were pretty unexpected and very unique. I guess I just don't get the same vibe from the Sound type, which isn't to say that I hate it, only that I think there might be better choices. So for all these reasons, Sound is number 5 on this countdown. Number 4, Diamond type. I'm personally a pretty big fan of the Diamond type for a couple of reasons. First of all, Diamond is a pretty fascinating substance. It's an allotrope of carbon that forms under conditions of extreme pressure and temperature, and as such inherits properties such as incredible hardness and thermal conductivity. Moreover, it's possible for diamonds to take on a variety of colors as a result of impurities. Blue diamonds are formed when boron is present during a diamond's formation, green diamonds are formed via radiation exposure, and other colors include yellow, brown, purple, pink, and orange. So the point is that Diamond type Pokemon have the potential to look really cool. Also, the dual types that you can form with Diamond Pokemon would be insane. By virtue of its thermal conductivity, a Fire and Diamond type would fit really well together and would also look pretty awesome. An Electric and Diamond type would also look very cool, and I'm pretty fascinated by the idea of a Dragon Diamond type as well. However, there are two things that make me a little bit ambivalent about this new type. First and foremost, Diamond is a little bit too similar to Rock and Steel. I feel like a lot of potential Diamond types would have stats very similar to current Rock and current Steel types, which is not something I'm a huge fan of. Also, Diamond doesn't fit in with the theme of Sun and Moon all that well either, for what I'd say are pretty obvious reasons. So, as much as I'd love to see a Diamond type introduced, I question whether it's the best choice for a new type in Sun and Moon. Number 3, Plasma type. Let me start off by saying that when I say Plasma type, I'm specifically referring to the 4th fundamental state of matter known as Plasma. Plasma is a state very similar to gas, except basically on steroids. The biggest difference between Plasma and gas is that Plasma contains a significant number of charge carriers that make it respond strongly to electromagnetic fields, which gives it special properties. Examples of Plasma include neon signs, electric sparks, and other such substances. Plasma types would likely be super unstable and very offensive, with high speed stats and rather low defenses, which could add an interesting twist to the current Pokemon scene. Moreover, given that plasma physics provides the basis for stuff like nuclear fusion, Plasma types would have very interesting Pokédex entries and really cool designs, which are always very important when it comes to new Pokemon. Finally, it turns out that Plasma makes up a pretty large part of the Sun and the stars, so it would definitely fit in with the theme of Sun and Moon. The only real problem I have with it is that it's too similar to the Electric type, since electricity is in fact a specific example of Plasma. The biggest thing that scares me about Plasma is that with types like Fire and Electric already around, it could be a little bit redundant, much like Diamond. So, while I love the idea of a plasma type, I think there are still a few drawbacks keeping it from being really high on this countdown, and for that reason it's number 3 on this list. Number 2, Cosmic type. Let me start off by saying that the definition of cosmic is of or relating to the universe or the cosmos, especially as distinct from the Earth. So right off the bat, this type would fit in really well with the theme of sun and moon. Moreover, I think there's a lot of potential variety within the cosmic type. Given that the notion of cosmic could encompass many different things like planets, stars, space, and much more, there are really a ton of different things Game Freak could do with cosmic types. The problem with Diamond type Pokemon is that I feel like they would be restricted to being slow and defensive, while with Plasma types you have the opposite problem in that they would have to be offensive and fast. But with the Cosmic type, you've got a whole realm of possibilities which could actually include many Plasma type ideas, since Plasma is very abundant in the stars. Also, there are already tons of Pokemon that fit the Cosmic type really well in the existing Pokemon universe, such as Jirachi, Deoxys, and other space Pokemon. So this would give Game Freak an opportunity to go back and retype some old Pokemon, which is definitely something I would love to see. Overall, I don't really have anything bad to say about the Cosmic type, and that's exactly why it's number 2 on this countdown. Number 1, Radiation type. I know what all of you are thinking right now. Roshank, you're playing way too much Fallout 4. And yeah, that's probably true, but it still doesn't change the fact that this is a great idea for a new type. Let me start by saying that radiation would actually fit the theme of Sun and Moon very well, since one of the major features of the Sun that allows for life is that it emits many different kinds of electromagnetic radiation, including visible light. So right off the bat, radiation already encompasses the light type, which is something a lot of people have been asking for ever since Sun and Moon were announced. Moreover, taking a look at the electromagnetic radiation spectrum, there are so many possibilities for radiation type Pokemon. You could have a gamma ray Pokemon, an infrared Pokemon, an X-ray Pokemon, and much more. Conversely, a different way to spin the radiation type would be more akin to a nuclear type. Radioactive substances are inherently unstable, but can also be used as sources of nuclear energy, so I could definitely imagine radiation type Pokemon being volatile, while at the same time having very stats and high-powered offenses. There would also be some defensive options for radiation types, which means it would have a ton of variety as well. Overall, there are just so many cool options for the radiation type, and moreover, it fits in really well with the theme of Sun and Moon. Why ask for a light type when you can have the radiation type, which is pretty much the light type plus a little bit more? I personally love the idea of a radiation type for what I think are some pretty convincing reasons, which is exactly why it's number 1 on this countdown. Well, alright folks, that is pretty much gonna do it for this video. As always, if you enjoyed, be sure to drop me a like down below and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already for more Pokemon content in the future. And of course, be sure to let me know your thoughts on this list down below in the comments. Do you agree with it for the most part, or are there some choices that you don't really like? Otherwise, I hope you all have an awesome rest of your day, and I will see you in my next video.